Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I read to you headlines from my news feed and share with you my thoughts, if any, on the headline, on the story, on the subject matter at large, based on me having read the headline, the story, or being an expert on the subject matter at large. But remember, it's not the news, as the title says. It's just my opinion on the subject matter at large. Let us proceed. Okay. Derby's dose, deplorable and sickening formula. Derby's dose, deplorable and sickening form of torture used to punish slaves in Jamaica. I clicked on it, but I couldn't really get to like what the particular form of torture was. But I imagine that there were as many forms of torture and abuse of enslaved people as there are enslavers out there. Just like there are as many recipes for molesting and harassing a woman as there are harassers out there. And you notice when you listen that everybody had they little system, they more or less they way of doing it. Like, when you hear the stories from the people who have accused Bill Cosby, a lot of them sound similar. And he already said that he likes to use give women that particular drug or whatever, and that seems to be his modus operandi. Everybody seems to have, so I'm imagining that torturers have their way of torturing people too. Slave monsters, every slave monster had a system. Live and work in this Hubbard Richard storefront, yours for $45,000. It was good looking. It was an interesting piece of property. Massachusetts school investigates cluster of racist videos, one targeting black students. Student writes unwanted catcalls on pavements in New York. It sort of reminds you of in She's Gotta Have It, her street art, some of the unwanted catcalls, or the one image that I saw. Employees say it's better to work at this fast food chain than companies like Google and Microsoft. This is some company that, where employees give ratings of companies. And I guess this company, this fast food company, was it In-N-Out Burger? I can't remember. This company's ratings was higher. Their ratings were higher than Google and Microsoft. For the first time in 14 years, the best university in the world isn't in America. I think it was in Britain, England. Shocking footage shows a pipe spewing blood into public waters, and it's totally legal. So we saw that article a couple weeks ago. We saw the pipe. I don't know if you clicked on the article, but I saw it and we talked about it. And it's totally legal. So it's like some kind of fish farm, and it's like the blood and guts or whatever, the fish, and they just put them into the lake, the ocean, the free water where the free fish are. And then, those of us, or those of you, I don't eat salmon, but those of us who eat, who go out of our way to get like free range salmon, unfarmed salmon, I think that's what they call it. There's the farm salmon, and then there's the wild salmon. But you out there getting the wild salmon thinking you getting, ooh, this is better. But the same drugs and chemicals that they feed into the salmon on the farm is getting into the place where the free fish are. So they just trying to drug you and get you anyway. And it's perfectly legal. A closer look at a 3.67 million year old skeleton. That's it wasn't Little Mama. What was she called? Dang, it wasn't Bigfoot. She might have been called Littlefoot. And she was in South Africa, right? Son of slain black man wants life in prison for ex-officer. So this person is like, well, my father is dead, and my whole life I have to deal with the repercussions of you having killed my father, and you're still alive. And so at least we not killing you. The least you could have is life in prison. That's how I feel. An unconscious man came into a hospital with a "do not resuscitate" tattoo, and doctors didn't know what to do. Like, was it like was it medical instructions? Was it just like artwork? Like, what does it mean? But he actually had something on file saying "do not resuscitate," but they found it eventually. But when they first saw it, they didn't know what to do. He might be feeling like, I tattooed it on my chest. What else could I do to let you know to not resuscitate? But I would have been like, I don't know. Did he mean this literally, or was it figurative? Was it metaphoric? Was this, I don't understand. So anyway, he did not want to be resuscitated. Damon Dash joins others in hip hop who regret disrespecting women. I saw the Al Franken resignation today. I thought it was like, I was surprised. It was like very well written. It seemed very sincere. Like, I vote for him. I don't know. I realized I don't even know where Minnesota is. I was like, I think it's somewhere in the Midwest. And then the little map I have is like the map of the world. We saw Minneapolis on it, but I'm like, is Minnesota? I was like, and then in my head I could hear Minnesota. So I feel like I saw a film where it was set in Minnesota, and a lot of the people seem to be like of German heritage. But yeah, I don't even know where. That's a shame. But anyway, I heard Al Franken's speech, and it was this whole thing that's going on is really interesting to me. And then somebody said that on, I don't watch the Roland Martin show, but I heard that this morning on the Roland Martin show, one of the commentators or whatever said something about rape culture, and that what I heard, I didn't see it myself, is that Roland Martin got upset and he's like, I'm not a rapist. And I'm like, that's like, just like how, when you say this white supremacist culture, and then the random white person there is like, I'm not a racist. Oh no, right. What's his face? Roland Martin said, I'm not a rapist. And then the random white person will say, I'm not a racist. And it's like, you benefit from a system of white supremacy. You benefit from a system of male supremacy. And there are all kinds of things that are a part of the system that maintain the system and perpetuate the system and hold women down and hold women in a particular place. Just like there are all kinds of things about the system that hold black folks down, colored folks down, and hold colored folks in their place. Like, you may not personally be actively engaging in certain behaviors, but clearly you are a beneficiary of it. You might not have created the system, sir, but yes, man, you are a beneficiary of rape culture and male superiority. And you don't need to, but anyway, Damon Dash and others in hip hop regret disrespecting women. When I was listening to Al Franken speak, it was kind of like, I kind of felt like some apologies I listened to, and I just kind of feel like they're saying sorry, but I don't feel it. That doesn't mean they're not sorry. I'm just saying I don't feel it. But with his apology, I actually felt like, it seems like, I got the impression that he's reflective and thoughtful and, may grow and develop as a result of this experience. And he was like, some of that stuff I did not do at all, period. Some of the stuff I remember differently. And then some stuff, I think he felt like it was poor judgment. But if someone is offended by it, if it's upsetting to someone, then that's something to take into account. So, U.S. inner city children suffer war zone trauma. I think the article said that children in the inner city are more likely to have PTSD than people coming back from a war zone. Is that what the article, did you? Be Fabulous You on Twitter is where I linked the article. So if you read the article before I read it, let me know. Because I can believe that. Andrej Babis, Czech Republic's new billionaire prime minister. Prime minister is like the president. And some people are saying that he reminds them of our own very own President Zero. Baltimore police who were charged with killing Freddie Gray try to sue prosecutor. And there's been a rash of attacks on prosecutors. You know about that, right? So I didn't get a chance to read this article, but I wanted to read the article. A serious case of amnesia. House Intel Democrat says Trump Jr. was pretty non-responsive in 8-hour interview. Well, one good thing is I told you I had a friend who, was behaving in criminal activity, and she said the number one thing to do when you engage in criminal activity is, if you get caught, to shut up. Don't say nothing. Just shut up. So, I mean, I guess kudos to him for being a good criminal. Because, just shut up. Don't say nothing. Because anything you say is probably going to make it worse. The Post review, and if you don't say nothing, they can't hold it against you. The Post review, Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks excel in Spielberg's urgent and timely newspaper drama. Ever since I heard about this thing where you can get to see unlimited movies for like $10 a month, I've been like, oh, I want to see that movie. I want to see that movie. I've been getting like movie obsessed. It's like I've gotten like not wanderlust, but like movie lust. Like, I used to really watch way more movies. I watch way more TV than I ever watched now. And I'm like, I like a movie. I might want to see The Post. This is a review of a movie called The Post. Indian newborn mistakenly declared dead. Remember we talked about that story? It was 2 children, and they had them in the plastic bag, and then they were on the way to the funeral to bury them, and the one baby started moving. Well, the baby that started moving passed away, made his transition. So that's the case. Indian newborn mistakenly declared dead, passes away. How reporters, rest in peace, and peace to your family. That seemed like a lot of trauma and mess and confusion. How reporters Jodi Cantor, Erin Carmen, and Kim Masters exposed sexual harassment and started a national reckoning. The UN Security Council will meet Friday to discuss Jerusalem after requests from 8 countries. U.S. asks Israel to restrain its response to the Jerusalem decision over fears of backlash toward U.S. personnel. Be happy, but don't be like, whoa! Just be like this. Ooh, restrain it. Just keep it damped down a little bit, because we don't want the Americans to get hurt. Honduras presidential election. Curfew lifted in some areas after OAS call. Angela site. There's a site in, was it down south someplace? But it was like, we're coming up on the 400th anniversary of enslaved Africans coming to this country before it was a country. So in 1617 and 1620, I think the earliest group that I had heard of was in 1620, but I'm not sure. But apparently there was a group in 1617 of enslaved Africans. There was one young woman from Angola, and her name was Angela. And somehow at this site, they've, uncovered the site, and she was the only enslaved African whose name was known, or whose name they had figured out. So it's called the Angela site. So someone sent me that article because, my name is Angela. And it was an interesting, I did read it, but it was like late last night, so. I think I have looped around. I've gotten all of my notes off my news feed. I didn't do any new ones today, so I guess tomorrow is going to be a little on the longer side, but we're finished for today. So it's the best day ever. You're the greatest. You're number 1. If you're already a subscriber, you're the greatest, you're number 1. If you're a new subscriber, you're the greatest, you're number 1. If you've never listened to this or watched it before, notes on the news, not news, you're great, you're wonderful. If this is your first time, you great, you wonderful. If this is your millionth time, or 38th, 47th, what number are we at, 48? You great, you wonderful, you the greatest, you the most wonderfulest, you the most fabulous. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous, you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous, you.